So you're eager to start on your podcasting journey, but you're stuck on what to name your show. Hey there, podcasters. Welcome back to Podbean Academy, your go-to for all things podcasting. As always, I'm your host, John. Your podcast name is vital, not just for branding, but for podcast SEO as well. It should be descriptive, attention-grabbing, and should be easily searchable in podcast directories and on search engines. Let's delve into the importance of podcast naming and its role in podcast SEO. We're going to explore how to come up with a fantastic podcast name, combining creativity and podcast SEO. Begin by brainstorming keywords in your podcast topic. These keywords won't just help you create a catchy, relevant name, but they'll also help you when people are searching for your type of podcast. Be creative and think outside the box. Your podcast name could be playful, intriguing, or mysterious depending on the kind of content you're putting out. Combining creativity with SEO optimization is a recipe for success. Now, you want to make sure that your podcast name isn't already taken so it stands out in the search results. A smart strategy is to search on different directories and social media and search engines to see if your name has already been taken. Let's talk about the catchy side first. Your podcast name is going to be everywhere. It's going to be on your podcast URL, it's going to be in your branding, it's going to be on your cover art. It's going to encompass a lot of how people know and recognize your podcast. It's probably also going to be on your business cards and merchandise, I would like to say. Remember, your podcast name is what everybody is going to remember and what everybody is going to talk about. Now, let's talk about what not to do when naming your podcast. First, resist the temptation to stuff in as many keywords and hashtags as possible. Yes, these are important for discovery in different places. Too many of these can have your podcast flagged as spam, and in many times, your podcast will be removed from popular directories. Also, using your name in the podcast title may not be the best strategy unless you are a well-known name in your niche. More than knowing who you are, your podcast needs to know what your podcast is going to be about, and your podcast title is where that all starts. Even celebrities with high traffic names will still oftentimes create a podcast name that has more to do with the content than their own individual name. And I'm sure this one is obvious, but remember, don't use another podcast name as your name. This can confuse listeners, and I'm sure I don't have to go into the litany of legal issues that this could cause. And neither of those are going to help you grow. And while you think that these may be some shortcuts to getting your show noticed, remember, getting your show into the eyes and ears of a loyal fan base is a long game. Don't try to be somebody else, be you. One of my favorite podcasts, Dead and Lovely, is a podcast that's all about reviewing horror movies. By just hearing the name, you can already get a bit of an idea as to what the show is about. Fun fact, Dead and Lovely is also the name of a Tom Waits song. Another fun fact, type in Dead and Lovely in Google and the show comes up as number 2 in the search results. How crazy is that? A strategy you can use is to come up with a name that you can search on Google, on Facebook, on Instagram, and different social media channels. If the show doesn't come up with anything that has a similar title, then you should be in the clear to use it. And if your podcast has that unique name and you're claiming it on social media and you're claiming it on Google, there's a good chance that when people search out your podcast title, you'll be the first thing that shows up in the search results. That's a hack for you. You're now ready to create a captivating podcast name. The podcast name that you choose isn't just going to reflect your content, but it's also going to excel in the search rankings. For more in-depth tutorials, tips, and tricks on podcasting, check out the rest of this track in Podbean Academy.